If she knew what was going on right now, if she heard about that, she would never speak to him again. She would never let him touch her children or have any visitation with her children. She would say to him, "Don't ever touch me. Don't ever go near me. Don't ever speak with me. Do not speak to our children. Any visitation will go through a court system, and I want you to leave me alone. Just send me that check." We were very close friends. She confided in me, and I was her attorney. It was terrible. It was all too soon. It's very tragic that she lost her life at such a young age. And I feel really bad for her family, for her children.
I'm announcing the unsealing of a 3-count indictment, charging Sean Combs with racketeering conspiracy, sex trafficking, interstate transportation for prostitution.
Well, I was not shocked at all, and I'll tell you why. It wasn't because it was him. The rich and the famous are different. Fame corrupts, money corrupts, and when you have the two, they're combustible. And when people have fame and they have a lot of money, they engage their wildest dreams, their fantasies, their fetishes. So this happened to him. It's not a shock to me. And believe it or not, many people in society engage in these kinds of activities.
Combs allegedly planned and controlled the sex performances, which he called freak-offs. And he often electronically recorded them. The freak-offs sometimes lasted days at a time, involved multiple commercial sex workers.
I don't think Kim ever knew of these freak-offs, of his private sexual fantasies and his sex life in that way. Had she known about it, she would definitely not have participated in it. She didn't want him with other women, and he didn't want her with other men. So he would not have shared her with anybody. It was quite a different relationship that he had with Kim than he had with Cassie. Cassie was much younger than Kim, and Cassie was not the mother of his children. So he treated them much differently. I know so much gossip that I can't even tell anybody about it because I would like to keep those confidences of her. But I do want to say that she never knew about these parties. She didn't know about his extracurricular activities in that vein. She never partook in drugs when I knew her. She was very anti-drugs when I knew her, and she lived a very clean life.
The indictment also alleges other acts of violence undertaken by Combs and others, including violence against witnesses to his abuse, kidnapping, and arson. The indictment alleges that on more than one occasion, Combs carried or brandished firearms to intimidate and threaten victims and witnesses.
How's your dad doing?
She would definitely not show up to court. She would not want her name in the newspapers. She would certainly not write a book or a memoir. She would not give any interviews. She would not want to sully the name of the father of her children. And no matter if she was angry at him or not, she just didn't want to ruin his reputation. There is no amount of money that she could be paid for her to write a memoir about her life with Puffy. She would never do anything to hurt his reputation because she had children with him. He did a damn good job of hurting his own reputation on his own. She would never write an article. She would never be interviewed about this. She would just stay silent. It is impossible that this is her journal or these are her memoirs. Sure. It's comical. She never spoke that way. She never wrote that way. She was articulate. She was classy. She would never write something like that. There would be no need for her to do that. When I knew her, when we were very close, and when I was representing her in her case against him, they couldn't stop speaking to each other. They couldn't stop seeing each other. He would call her millions of times a day. He had the misfortune of hiring my private investigator, who years later told me that he was following her on a regular basis, and he was following her to my house. So, he was obsessed with her. He didn't want her to be with other men, and he would make sure wherever she was, he would show up or he would call her because he knew where she was.
We're not giving up by a long shot. I told Mr. Combs I'm going to try and get his case to trial as quickly as possible.
I think at the end he's going to walk. I'll tell you why. He did an excellent job testifying on the stand in his first trial in New York. Even on cross-examination, he was a master of manipulation. And he did it then, and he could do it again now. And from what I understand, from what I hear, that those tapes show people having a damn good time, and nobody in those tapes look inebriated. He might just testify that these were consensual parties, that everybody was having a good time, and that he may even have releases for these tapes. We don't know what his defense is going to be, but I guarantee you he's going to take the stand and he's going to fight it.
He has been ready to defend this case since he first found out about this case. Nothing has changed from his perspective. I obviously would much prefer to fight this case with him out of jail, and we are going to try to bring that about through additional legal process. But wherever he is, his resolve is the same.
He knew that this was coming once they raided his house, but sometimes people who engage in strange activity, irregular activity, even criminal activity, do stupid things, and they keep videotapes on their home computer or on their phone, and that's what gets people in trouble. If you're going to do something strange, unacceptable, don't keep the tapes. People have fetishes. They have desires. They may not be yours, they may not be mine, but people do strange things when it comes to sexual activity, and they love to review it, and they love to watch themselves engaged in that activity.
He believes he's innocent. I believe he's innocent, and we're going to fight this case with all of our might until we don't have to fight any longer.